Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Maseches SOTAH Daf Memches. We are holding on Mem Zayin Amud Beis on the second line from the bottom of the Amud. Yochanan Kohen Gadol Hevir Haydayos HaMaser. The Mishnah tells us about many changes that occurred throughout our history, one of which was the fact that Yochanan, the famous Kohen Gadol, father of Matisyahu ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol Chashmonai from Hanukkah, he cancelled the Haydayos HaMaser. What is that? So twice in 7 years, third and the seventh year, we get up and we say, Hashem, we separated the Trumos in the Masros and delivered them as per your instructions. He stopped that ceremony. My time and why? Amar Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina, Lafi she'ein noisnen oisei ketikunai, because we no longer deliver it and give it to the appropriate person. What does that mean? The Rachman Amar, the pasuk says, who do we give Maaser Rishon to? The Yavid Levim. It goes to the Levim. V'ananam we koyavinu l'koyhanim. We give it to the koyhanim instead, as per Ezra HaSofer's Takana. The Gemara Yevamos Pevav speaks about the fact that he penalized the Levim because they failed to return to Eretz Yisrael after Golas Bavel. So going forward, we give the Maaser Rishon to koyhanim instead of the Levim. Therefore, it's out of place for us to get up and say that vidoy, including the words "V'gam nesativ Levi." I gave the Levi what he deserves. I didn't, so we just delete the whole thing. Asks the Gemara why? Just leave out that phrase, that part of the vidoy pertaining to the Levi. V'loidi, let him do the vidoy ashar masters on the other masters, which we do properly. Amrei Shlakish, no kol bayis shein mesvada al Maaser Rishon. If the home doesn't have the ability to express vidui for Maaser Rishon because it's given to the Levi, to the Kohen instead of Levi. He uses the word bias, by the way, because the pasuk says biarti hakodesh min habayis. He took the master from the home, so we relate to the bias. Basically, if a person cannot express vidui for Maaser Rishon, shuv ein mesvada al shar masters, there's no vidui for the rest either. Why? My time, Amar Bayi, because that's the first on the list. Choyel pasuk be'akosav tchila, since that's the first reference that the pasuk mentions. So if you can't start it, doesn't get off the ground, so you don't do it. Says the Gemara Mechlal, it would appear from this explanation, the Afrushi have a mafreshi. Yochanan Kohen Gadol only took issue with the fact that they were delivering the Maaser Rishon to the Kohen instead of to the Levi. But it's pretty apparent that in terms of actually making that hafrasha, that separation, they did it. They separated the Maaser Rishon, but they gave it to the wrong person. But Tanya, we have a brisa which seems to indicate that they neglected even to separate Maaser Rishon, let alone delivering it to the wrong. They didn't even separate it properly. But Tanya, afu bitel asavidui. So Yochanan Kohen Gadol canceled vidui. V'gazer al hadmai, and he enacted something called dmai, which means that when you purchase produce from an amaretz, and you're unsure whether it's still tevel or he did actually remove the truma and the master, so there was a special system in place to address this type of produce. Demai stands for Demai. What is this? What is the status of this produce? Is it tevel? Is it not? You have to separate some things that we're going to see in a minute. Because he sent around to check throughout where all the Yidden were living. He noticed Shema Frishan. He saw that people out there were only careful to separate Truma Gedola. But in terms of the other aspects of Tevel or Maaser Rishon or Maaser Sheni, well, some yeah and some not. Miktosan Maasrin, Miktosan in Maasrin. Some did it, some didn't. Amrlam, he went and he explained to them, Rabbanai, my children, let me explain to you. You're in grave error. I want to explain to you as follows. The other masters are no less serious in Truma Gedola. Just like Truma Gedola entails avoid misa. So basically, if you don't take off the Truma Gedola, the tevel is asr ba'achila, there is misa. Likewise, kach trumas maser v'tevel yesh bon avoid misa. If you fail to take off trumas maser, which is a tenth of the Maaser Rishon, so if you don't get to that point. You don't even take off the maserishan, let alone the trumas maser. So if it's left inside your basket, it's called tevel. Eating that incurs misa. So it's no less serious than truma gedola. Why are you only being particular about truma gedola and neglecting the rest? Amad v'hiskan lehem, he got up and he established the following takana, halakeach piros ma'aretz. Being that he saw that many were neglecting, he says, look, Rabbi Yisai, going forward, anytime you purchase from ma'aretz, you have to address this possibility that it was not attended to properly, and therefore mafresh man maserishan, maser sheni, you have to separate maserishan and maser sheni, and the maserishan you have to go and take trumas maser from it. Mafresh mimena trumas maser, a tenth of the maserishan, v'noisen l'koyin, that goes to the koyin. Maser sheni, what happens to the maser sheni? Oile v'oichel b'Yerushalayim, you take it up and eat in Yerushalayim. Now, what's left behind? Maserishan, maser ani. You separated it, but do you have to actually give it to somebody? No. Hold on to it. It's yours. Unseparated maserishan constitutes tevel, but once you separated it, the remaining produce is no longer tevel. You've addressed that concern. But what about actually giving it to the Levi or the maser ani to the poor person? No. You have no obligation to do that. Prove. Come, prove to me that I'm obligated. Maybe this demai was already taken care of before. So maserish and maserani, we hold on to it. Hamoitzi mechaveroi. The Levi comes and demands that maserishan. Likewise, the ani comes and claims his maserani. We say hamoitzi mechaveroi. If you want to extract from your friend olav arai, he has to prove his case. And Rashi explains, what about trumas maser? Why didn't you just hold on to that? Let's say you can't eat it, only a kohen can eat it, but just sell it to the kohen, at least make some money on it. So he says because trumas maser is way more stringent than maserishan and maserani, which can be eaten by anybody. Trumas maser is specifically meant for a kohen to eat, otherwise you get misa. So they were concerned about having him hold on to it and wheel and deal, negotiate prices with the kohen. Just give it to the kohen. Bottom line, we see from this brisa that there was an issue with separating the maserishan. It wasn't so clear that people were doing it. And in our Mishnah, the way we explained it, it would seem that they did separate, but they didn't actually give it to the right person. That was the only issue. Delivery, but separation, everyone did. How does that work? Both are true. Tarti tikin. There were two concerns, and he made two takanis. Depends who we're speaking about. B'tei levidu the chaverim, the reliable people, who would actually, separate everything as per Torah's instructions. Truma, Maserish, Masasheni. So there's no issue about neglecting, but the issue was that they were giving it to the wrong person. They were giving it to the Kohen instead of the Levi, as per Ezra's Takana, right? So on account of that, he was mevatel. He canceled the Haidah, the Vidu, as we explained before. Then we have general population, the Amei Aretz, who are unlearned, and there's a more serious concern that perhaps they never even addressed the Truma and the Maser of this temple. The Gazer al Demai Shlam Aretz. He made the other takana regarding the Ami Aretz, that anything you purchase from an unknown source, unverified source, you have to actually treat it as Demai and separate some things as we explained before. So bottom line, Yochanan Kohen Gadol made two takanis, no Hadayas HaMaiser, and the second thing was when he noticed that there was a general neglect regarding Trumas or Masras, he was Masakin, had a deal with Mai. Va'afu, what else did he do? Bitalas Ma'iridim. He canceled the Ma'iridim. My Ma'iridim, what is that? Omerachba b'chol yom v'yom. This took place on a daily basis. Shahayu oimdim levim ala duchan. When the Levim would get up on stage in the Beis Hamikdash to say their shira, they would start by saying Uram lama sishan Hashem, which is actually a pasuk in Tehillim Mem Dalet. Hashem, wake up! Why are you sleeping? And of course, it's not to be taken literally, but in his time, in Yochanan Kohen Gadol's time, unfortunately, the tzeddukim, those individuals who opted to take the words of the psukim very literally without adding and expounding based on the interpretations and elaborations of the Chazal, they didn't believe in Torah Sheba'al Peh. So he had a concern that people will take it very literally. And therefore he said, Hashem sleeping. Hashem never sleeps. Rather, the correct pshat in that pasuk is, is reflecting a period in history when Klal Yisrael is in tsar. is going through hardships. And the Goyim are living in tranquility and calmness. So that contrast, that comparison, elicits that outcry from a Yid. Hashem, why do you appear to be in a situation, a status of yashim? So it's just expressing that tsar that a Yid would feel during Golos. That's why they would say it, but once it got to the point that it was being taken literally, he cancelled it, lest it generated a misconception, chas v'shalom, about Hashem not being totally alert at all times. He cancelled the Noikfim as well. That's a Noikfim. My Noikfim, what is that? When they would bring a carbon, let's say the carbon tablet, they would scrape between its horns, make a little cut in its skin, so the dam, the blood would trickle into his eyes, and the carbon would be easily subdued in preparation for his shechita. So Yochanan came along, but he cancelled this process because it appears like you're making a blemish in the carbon. In the Brisa we learned that Noikfim is referring to something else. They would strike at the animal with sticks, and that's why it's lashon chayvtin. It's la pila la'aretz, to get him down on the floor. The way they do by the Goyim, by the Avodah Zarah, a similar practice. So therefore, he didn't like that. He said, no, his concern was that it appears like an avela, like the sort of like killing the carbon before the hakrava. It looks like an avela. An avela, what do you mean it's an avela? It wasn't an avela. He was concerned that perhaps this practice of striking with maklis would produce an internal wound, which makes it a treifa, which makes it disqualified from carbon. Concerned that perhaps the brain membrane would be punctured by this type of procedure, and therefore he stopped and he incorporated a new, more efficient process. He went ahead and he brought in this new idea of putting these sort of metal rings on the ground near the mizbech, through which they would place the head of the neck of the carbon to keep it subdued in place during the shechita, and he did away with the noikfim practice. Until his time, the patish, the hammer of the blacksmith, who was engaged in something very critical, davar aved, something which involves financial loss, he would do it even on Chalamoid. So the patish would be ringing throughout the cities of Yerushalayim, and it did not present well for Yom Tov, and therefore he stopped it. The Bnei Saschas is a beautiful word that Mida Yochanan Gadol was involved in the Enes of the Chashmonaim, of bringing about Chanukah, where there is a bit of malacha. We don't do malacha a half hour during the Adokas Neres, which was Mida Keneged Mida for him, doing away with this malacha, inappropriate, a malacha scene on Chol HaMoed. Okay, Kol Yamav Lo Yahya Adam Tzarech Lishal Al Admai. So throughout his lifetime, he wouldn't have to ask any questions about Dmai, Kedamaran, as we explained, because it was a standard process that he established that everybody would follow. You find Dmai, you take off the Truma and the Master, as we explained, and therefore we know you're safe. Says the Mishnah. Misha Batla Sanhedrin. Once the Sanhedrin HaGadol ceased to function, Batel Hashir b'meis HaMishtois. So there's a takana. No more playing music. No more shir mibeis hamishtois, from these places where they would drink wine, the bars, whatever. No more shir. Shenemar, the pasuk says, b'shir lo yishtu yayin. No shira during drinking wine. How do we know this is connected to Sanhedrin? The Gemara will explain. Now there are several shittas regarding applying this halacha nowadays. Shulchan Aruch holds that playing musical instruments will be asur in all circumstances. Bisman hazeh, if it's meant to generate, a simcha, it's not appropriate for zman hazeh. The Ramah adds that some say it's specific to drinking wine, so music should not be accompanying wine drinking. And also, if it generates extra simcha gedola, like going to sleep and getting up with music, that's also inappropriate. So according to Ramah, it's limited to wine drinking and excessive expressions of simcha. Others adopt the Shulchan Aruch's chumrah that it's usher in all circumstances, and it seems like the minhag ha'olam is like the Ramah, that it's only in specific circumstances together with wine or in an excessive manner, as opposed to just music listening in a standard situation. According to all shittas, if it's for the sake of mitzvah, like simchas chasim v'kala, etc., it would be mutter. Some bring that if it's to soothe the person's emotions, that's like a refuah, that would also be mutter. Okay, but this is the concept that, as we progressed or regressed in terms of the shutting down of our vibrancy, Sanhedrin and Churban Yerushalayim and Churban Beis Hamikdash, the Chachamim were masaking, takanas which would sort of correspond, would match to the national state, the national mood. So they ensured that the mood would match, our practice would match the spiritual deficiencies that we were experiencing, and this would be an appropriate expression of our discomfort, tsar, and mourning, which is reflective of our situation. So here we have the first stage: no Sanhedrin, no song. Mishemesu Nevi'im Rishonim, when the earlier Nevi'im passed away, Batlu Urim V'Tumim, we no longer had the access. We used to have to the Urim V'Tumim, which was in the Choshen, the Shem Hashem, which would respond to our queries. We no longer had that ability. Once the Churban happened, Batalah Shomer, we no longer can access that miraculous worm which would cut through stone and diamonds. Sufim, a certain type of either honey, or we're going to see in the Gemara, Upasku Anshe Emana, Yisrael, and the high level Ma'aminim, the Yidden who had a high level of faith and trust in Hashem, are no longer here with us. Shenemar Hashia Hashem Ki Gomer Chassid, and the pasuk continues, Ki Pasu Emunim, those with a high level of Emunah, we no longer have them. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer Heid, Rabbi Yeshua testifies, Mi Yom Shachar Beis Hamikdash, once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, in Yom Shem Klala, we don't experience a day without some form of klala. V'yara dat halav bracha, we no longer have the bracha generated by dew, v'nitat ha'apiros, and the fruit lost its produce, lost its taste. Rabbi Yisrael Emaf nital shuman ha'apiros, the ability to sustain, to nurture, that was also taken away from our produce. Rabbi Shimon Lazar Ema tahara, lack of purity in our own personal lives, not lasat reyach, that cancel the concept of reyach, the beautiful smell, beautiful scent coming from our fruit. Marsha explains reyach is a very spiritual concept. The Gemara in Bracha speaks about the fact that only the neshama, it goes straight to the neshama, it's a spiritual experience. So it makes sense that tahara, which is a spiritual concept, would negate the reyach within our world. Hamasr is not lo shuman hadogan, failure to give the masras, which relates to the tangible part of the fruit, right? 10% of our fruit. So failing to do that results in diminishing of the shuman hadogan, the nurturing properties of our produce. Being involved in inappropriate behavior and kishav, which is sort of off the proper track, that sent everything into mayhem, kiluas akoil. Says the Gemara. So Sanhedrin ceased, music ceases. How do we see that from the pasuk? B'shir lo yishtu yayin. How do we know that it's related to Sanhedrin? U'mayde m'shabatla Sanhedrin ksiv. Amar Rav Huna Breder Vishur. The pasuk clearly says it. Once these Zakenim, the elders of the Sanhedrin, stopped, functioning, the Bachurim stopped their music. Amarav, Udna, an ear. One's ear, the Sham, a Zimra, which listens to music in an inappropriate, manner, and Bizman Azet, it should be uprooted and destroyed. Amarav, Zimra Bevesa, when there's music in the home, in an inappropriate setting, Churba Besifa, there's destruction at the threshold, the home is destroyed. Shenamar Koil Yishur B'Chalim, when there's music. Chayrev Basaf Ki Arza Era. There's Chayrev, there's destruction at the threshold. Ma Ki Arza Era, what does that mean? Omar Yitzchak V'Chi Bayas HaMesubach Ba'arazim Irhu. Arza Era, does that mean when there's Arazim, a home which is built with cedars? Irhu, it's like a city that repels destruction. No, that's not what it means. Ella, rather it means like this. Just the opposite. Even a home which is built in a very firm, strong fashion with arazim, if there's inappropriate behavior there, such as music with manazeh, misra, it will shake up and destroy. Amar Ravashi Shmamina, we learn from this pasuk that where does destruction in a home begin from? Where do Shedim and Mazikim access the home? From the doorway. Ki maschal chura b'sifa maschal. When there's chura in the home, it starts from the sifa, from the doorway, from the threshold. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, chayre b'saf. We say another pasuk, mehacha v'shi'iyah yukas shar. So when there is abandonment, when the home doesn't have any people, yukas shar, so the mazikim come and strike it at the doorway. That's how they destroy it. Omar Mar Baravashi, l'didi chazile. I actually noticed the evil spirits coming to destroy the home. Ubanagach kitura, that they hack away like a bull with his horns. Omar Rav Huna, Zimra de Nagdi. The beady music that the ship, they used to pull the ships. They used to have people on land pulling the ships through the water. So these marches that these people would sing, to keep them on track and on beat, the bakri, the same with those who used to lead the cattle. Shari, that's okay. That's not meant for excitement and happiness. It's just meant to keep them on track and keep them moving. However, the gardoi, the music that the jolly music that the weavers engage in, that's usher, inappropriate nowadays. Rav Huna batal zimra. In fact, Rav Huna opposed, music in his town, and he ensured that they comply with the halachas that we learned, and because of that, they experienced great blessing, great bracha, great abundance in that town. Kam mea avzi, 100 duck were now going for 1 coin bezuzah. Umeya sa'achiti, and 100 sa of wheat bezuzah, merely 1 coin. Basically, prices dropped dramatically. There was no takers, no buyers. There was so much to buy. Also Rav Chizda. Then when Rav Chizda came, and people were, playing their music in a forbidden fashion, Zilzil Bey, he just sort of looked away. He did not put his foot down. And what happened? The bracha went away. Iboy Azah bezuzah. So if one wanted to buy one duck for a zuz, he couldn't find it. That's how little, was available. So listening to the rules brings us bracha. Amar Rav Yosef. On a related note, Zamri Gavri. If men get up and chant and sing, Va'ani Nashi, and women respond with their chant, that's prisusa, that's totally inappropriate. Zamri Nashi. Now, if women initiate the chant, Va'ani Gavri, the men respond, that's even worse, because Eish Benaris, it's like Eish, like a fire grabbing onto some very flammable material. And Rashi explains because in the second scenario, the men are being very attentive to the chanters, which in this case are the women, so it's more detrimental. What's the point of comparing this to that? They're both us, we're not meant to listen to women singing, regardless whether they're the initiators or the responders. Listen to this. You have a choice. They're not going to listen to you. Should I cancel this or that? Which one should I battle against? Right? I can't win the war. I want to win the battle. Do the second one. At least avoid the more serious concern and save them from that. If one actually sits down today and has his wine with 4 types of music, which is inappropriate, maybe it brings about 5 misfortunes. So he's sitting and drinking his wine with music, all these instruments are playing, ignoring Hashem's directives. What's the ramification? To bring about exile. That's number 1. Number 2, hunger. Bring about hunger. What does that mean? Thirst, spiritual thirst, is prevalent. Brings about a forgetting of Torah, and now people are thirsty for Torah. What does that mean? They bring weakness to Hashem Kaviyachol, take away His power, so to speak. Ve'in ish el Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? Vayash Belish, to bring down HaKoyach of Hashem, to weaken Hashem's power in the world. Ish is a reference to Hashem. Shenem Hashem ish melchama. And finally, ve'einei gevoyim tishpalna shegormen shiflus shal Yisrael. The gevoyim, Klal Yisrael, are meant to be on top. They bring them down. They cause the shiflus of Yisrael. Maksiv Achrav. How does the pasuk conclude? This person thinks that he's enjoying and acting in frivolity. Ultimately, the road leads to Gehenna. This is Gehenna. So it's describing the Gehenna experience. So we learn about the importance of maintaining a proper attitude towards the Churban. So although Simcha is certainly a basic tenet of our Yiddishkeit and way of life, but in a measured fashion, in an appropriate way, in proper circumstance. There was no longer access to Urim v'Tumim. Who are these Nevi'im Rishonim? Ma Nevi'im Rishonim. Amar Rav Huna, these are the first Nevi'im in Eretz Yisrael, as David, Shmuel, Ushleimai. So after their reign, we no longer had the Urim v'Tumim. Rav Nachman Amar, in fact, even during David HaMelech's time, sometimes it was successful and sometimes not. B'mei David, Zimnin Salak, sometimes they got response from the Urim v'Tumim to their questions. Zimnin Salak, and sometimes not. Sharei, look, Shaul Tzadik v'Osalei. When Shaul asked, he got a response. Shaul Avyasar, the other Kohen Gadol, asked, he was not successful. After he failed to generate a response, he lost his position of Kuna Gedola Vayal of Yasser. He left the Kuna Gedola. Masav Rabbi Bar Shmuel, how can you say that the Urim v'Tumim only lasted until David, Shmuel, and Shlomo, and not past? We find even during Zechariah, which was way later, that they still had the access to the Urim v'Tumim. Right? It says Hamevin b'Rosh Elikim. We assume it means having access to Hashem's name and the Urim v'Tumim. My love, shall we not assume Urim v'Tumim? No, that's not what it means. But Nevi'im, they had Nevuah, but not Urim v'Tumim at that late stage. Tashma, here comes another kasha. It's only after the destruction of the first Beis HaMikdash. That's when we lost Urim v'Tumim. Batlu Arei Migrash. We no longer had those cities which were designated for the Leviim. Upasku Urim v'Tumim. Right? Upasak Melech Beis David. Bottom line, we had all these things throughout Bayis Rishon, way past David and Shlomo and Shmuel. Vimlach Shach Adam Leimar. Now, somebody will whisper into your ear and tell you, 1 second, how can you say there was no Urim v'Tumim during the second Beis HaMikdash? Look at the pasuk. Vayomer Asashas. That was Nehemiah. He told them, Vayomer Asashas lahem al asher lo yoichlem mikodesh hakadoshim. He told the Kohanim, you have no right to access the Karbanos until we verify your lineage. Ad amoid kohen Urim v'Tumim, which would seem to indicate that 1 second, soon we'll get the kohen up with the Urim v'Tumim. We'll verify if you're really genuine Kohanim, you can eat the Karbanos, which almost sounds like they had access to the Urim v'Tumim at that late stage in history, way past Bayis Rishon. It's during Bayis Sheni. Ermor Lo, your response to your challenger, your questioner, should be that it's not to be taken literally. The pasuk says that he was sort of telling them, wait until the Urim v'Tumim. He was pushing them off. He was speaking like in a wishful way. Like a person tells his friend, it's going to snow until Mashiach. Until Tchias Hameid, until Mashiach. It's an expression about something off in the distance. Well, it should happen b'meher, but it's expressed sometimes differently. That's all he meant. He meant Kaihanim, no access to the Kodesh HaKodashim until way down the road, we're not going to know and you can't really access it. Bottom line, there was still Urim Tumim throughout the Bayis Rishon, way past David, Shlomo, and Shmuel. Omer Nachmar Yitzchak, Manavim, Rishonim. You're right, when the Mishnah says Mishamesu Nevinim Rishonim, it means all throughout the Bayis Rishon, Lafuki Mechagi Zechari Malach, as opposed to the Nevi'im that was during the Bayis Sheni. The Achroin Minah, they're called the last Nevi'im. But until then, they had Urim V'Tumim all throughout Bayis Rishon. Tanarabanon, we find in the Brayso Mishamesu Chagai Zechari Malachi Nistalka Ruach HaKodesh Yisrael, we find that the Brayso relates to them as the last remaining Nevi'im. Once they passed away, we no longer had access to Ruach HaKodesh, to Nevuah. And that's all the Mishnah means. Urim V'Tumim was only around until, Kol Zman we had Bayis Rishon, but not into Bayis Sheni when there was the Nevi'im Achroinim, Chagai, Zechariah, Malachi. The Brayso continues, although we had no access to Nevuah, but there is something which resembles Nevuah on a very low level. Even so, they still had access to a baskel, which is a very low grade Nevuah, so to speak. In fact, there was a story. The Chacham was sitting upstairs in Beis Guria b'Yerichai. Suddenly they hear a heavenly voice calling out for Amra, declaring as follows: there is amongst you a person, Adam Echad, he is such a tzaddik, he is worthy of the Shechina being applied to him. What should we do? His generation is not worthy of it, and therefore he can't be zeicha to Hashras HaShechina, perhaps Nevuah it's referring to. In any case, you see that a baskel was active even at that late stage in history. After they heard this announcement, Nosnu name Bil Azakin, they all placed their eyes in Hil Azakin, assuming he is the person that the baskel was referring to. Ukashameis, and in fact when he passed away, Spidu, they made a hesped, Hay Chassid, Hay Anav, this great Chassid, this great humble man, Talmidai, Shel Ezra, because he came up with the Ezra from Bavel, right? Vishumpam Achas. In fact, there was another similar incident. They were sitting in the upstairs in Yavne. They heard the baskel. Calling out to them, there was one amongst you who is worthy of the Shechina, but the Dur is not deserving of it. And who did they pick? They chose Shmuel HaKatan as the prime candidate as the subject of this baskel. Ukshemes, in fact, when he passed away, Spidu, they were maspid with the same nusach, Haychanav, Haychas. Talmid Shel Hillel. Va'afhu Amar B'Shas Mesasa, when Shmuel HaKatan passed away, he declared as follows. He predicted Shimon, that's the famous Rabbi Shimon the Nasi, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, and who else? Yishmael, that's the famous Kohen Gadol, Yishmael ben Elisha, who were killed by the Romans. He predicted as such. L'charava, they're going to be killed by sword. V'chavroi l'ktala, and all their colleagues, their other chachamim are going to be killed as well. V'sha'ar amalabiza, and the rest of the nation is going to be struck down. V'ka'an sagion asidan l'meisi al-amma, and great misfortunes are going to be experienced by our nation. So he predicted the whole future. V'af al rudim abava. Now, Rabbi Yehuda Bava was one of those that were killed by the Romans, and the Chachamim wanted to make a hesped in his honor and say these words, but they didn't get a chance to do so. For sure, it was not an appropriate time. It didn't work out. Why? Because since they were killed by the authorities, this plan would not pan out, was disrupted because of fear of retribution by the authorities. The Mishnah continues. What else do we lose after the Churban? Mishameis Beis Hamikdash Batel HaShomer. Tana Rabbanan. What is this Shomer? The Shomer was Shabaybana Shlomes Beis Hamikdash. That's the worm that Shlomo HaMelech used to build the Beis Hamikdash. Instead of using heavy tools, he used this little worm to cut the stones off the quarry. Shenamar V'Abayis B'Banoisei Evan Shlema was a full whole stone, untouched by tools. Masa Nivne, just the way it was taken out of the quarry. Hadvarim Kiksavan, you read it as it is. Div Rabbi Yehuda, stones were taken off the quarry through the shomer and never came into contact with any other machinery. How could they say that? How could you say no tools were used? The pasuk says, they were cut down by saws. Apparently, saws were used. So then why does the pasuk say that we wouldn't hear any tools, no sound of clanging of tools were heard in the bayis? Doesn't mean no tools were used. It means that he chipped the stones outside the mikdash and brought them in ready to go. He didn't want to use, iron tools, metal tools in the Beis HaMikdash. Rashi and Chumash brings it at the end of Parshas Mishpatim. Metal shortens a person's life. The Mizbeach is meant to, Beis HaMikdash is meant to grant life, lengthen life. So basically, there were no tools used inside the Mikdash, but those stones were chipped by tools outside the Mikdash. And Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. He says the shomer was used for that purpose. No tools were necessary. Omar Rabbi made a compromise. Near in Rabbi Yehuda, I agree with Rabbi Yehuda that the shomer was employed by Avnei Mikdash. Stones used for the Mikdash, they were cut out by the shomer, and that's it. V'div Rabbi Nechemiah's opinion, I would apply to different stones, but Avnei Beisei, stones used to build Shlomo HaMelech's palace. So there as well, he avoided barzel within the home, but he chipped them outside the home. Now, according to Rabbi Nechemiah, what was the shomer used for? If they had tools. But Rabbi Nechemiah shomer l'may also. The answer is as follows. He needs it for the following item. The Brisa says these stones of the Choshen and the Ephod, worn by the Kohen Gadol, which had all the Shvatim recorded on them, you couldn't record it using ink. The pasuk says not so. It has to be sort of engraved, embedded in the stone. You can't scrape out those letters using a scraper. The stones have to be full, not missing any material. So how do you engrave words without scraping out material? Ella, we use the shomer. First you would mark it with ink, and you would take the shomer worm and walk him over the marks. The stones will just split, as per the letters, without missing any material. Just like a fig, which would crack and split during the summer, without missing any material. It just splits, but it stays intact. Another mashal, like a valley, which would split because of the cold, once again, without losing any material. It's merely the size of a barley grain, barley kernel. Nivra was created way back during the Sheshis Mebreshis. In fact, we have a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos that it was created ben Hashmashes Friday night. Vein called Dover Kosher Yochalam and Panav. Nothing hard could stand in its way. Everything gets split. But Mamisham Oisin. So how do you keep it without splitting things below it? You wrap it with something soft, and it doesn't affect something soft. It cracks something hard, but not something soft. Karchen Oisay, they will wrap the Shomer Besvegen Shal Tzemer with woolen, rags, and place the whole bundle inside a lead container, filled with barley chaff. So it was cushioned all around, and this would keep it safe. Once the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, we lost a special exquisite silk called Shira Paradna. It's no longer prevalent and commonly available. What else? A special white glass, some type of crystal, lost as well. Tanya Mehachi, we learned that same in a Brisa. Meshachar Mikdash Rishon, after the Churban, Batla Shira Paradna, V'Sochos Levana. What else? V'Rechav Barzel, metal chariots used by the Yidden to battle the Goyim, is no longer common for us. What else was lost? Af Yain Korush, this congealed wine above a snir, which comes from the area called snir. Hadami Legugul Dvela, which looks like a round of pressed figs. V'Nefes Tufim, that was also lost. My Nefes Tufim, we have several explanations. Amarav Soilis, Shetzaf al Gabi Nafa, flour which is so rich in nutrients and fatty that it floats. It sticks to the walls of the sifter when sifted. It looks like a dough which was kneaded with honey and oil. That's why it's called Noifes Tzufim. So Tzufim is Lashon Tzafa, floats. It sort of sticks to the Noifes, to the Nafa, to the sifter. So we lost the the special quality found within the grain. Levi has another pshat in Noifes Tzufim Shtei Kikruis, Hanit Bakas Batana. So they would paste 2 pieces of dough on 2 sides of the oven. Right, they had this sort of dome oven, and they would paste 2 on either side inside. If a teifchas, and it would be such high quality, it would like bloat and float to each other. Boys, until they actually touch each other. That's how much it would rise and bloat, and we lost that quality. That's why it's called neifes tzufim. Rashi says neifes like a branch that extends, and tzufim means it suffers, it floats and rises. Rabbi Shimon Levi Omar the dvash habamanat tzifya. What is neifes tzufim? Referring to high quality honey habamanat tzofim coming from the mountains, from which you can see far away. My mashma, where do we see that honey, high quality honey, originates in the mountains? Because the Tagim of Sheshes, that of Sheshes translated the pasuk Kasher Tasena Hadvorim, which is the pasuk in Dvarim Perek Aleph pasuk Tes. Kasher Tasena Hadvorim Kemod the Natsan Devriyasa. The Targum there is describing how bees fly around. The bees are natsan, they fly and float around the world. Umasyan dufshan, they breathe their honey misbetura from plants up on the mountains. That's where we find high quality honey. Tanan also we have a Mishnah, a Maseches Machshirin. Kol hanitzoik tar. Suppose you have a kli which has something tummy, and you have another kli from which you are pouring liquid into the other kli which has tumah. Is that a connection? Will the tumah spread back up to the first kli? No. No connection. Chutz midvash zifim, that's a bichem, except if you're pouring this special honey, which has a very thick consistency, dvash tzifim, and something called tzvichim, or let's say honey mixed with wax, the way it's in the honeycomb. So this way, it's a very thick pour, and it sort of jumps back at you when you stop pouring. So it's a connection, and therefore the tumah spreads backs up to the upper kli. What is dvash zifim? My zifim, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, it's so thick and high quality you can actually dilute it a bit without noticing. Dvashim is zayfen boy. It's a special dvash that they forge, that they mix in, some water. They water it down without noticing. Rish Lakish Amar Al Shem Mekoymai. Zif is a location. It's a city. A dvash that comes from that place. Siv, as the pasuk says, Zif v'telem uva'olos. In similar fashion, we have machlekes regarding a pasuk. B'vaya zifim, v'yamer lo Shaul al David. So the zifim came to Shaul, trying to sell him a story that they have access to David HaMelech. Come, we'll hand him over to you. My zifim, what does zifim mean? Rabbi Yehuda, same idea. Bnei Adam hamazayfim midvareim, people who were dishonest, men lacking integrity. They are mazayif. They forge their words. They sell stories. Rav Lezer Omer al Shem Mekoymai, simply relating to their place. As the pasuk says, Zif v'telem ba'olos. So people coming from Zif are called Zifim. So what do we learn today? We learned about Yechon Ken Gadol canceling Haidoyas HaMaisros because the Maser Isha was not given to the Kohanim. He also enacted this idea called Dmai, a takana where you would account for any possibility of the Amoritz not tending to the Trumas and Maser properly. He did away with the Mo'erudim for concern that people will literally think Hashasham that Hashem is not paying attention, and the Noikfim, those who would bang the Karbonis, again, he didn't like that practice. He took away the Patish from Yerushalayim and Chol HaMoed. And then we had the Mishnah where there was an Isser on playing music. Misha Batla, the Sanhedrin. And music isn't necessarily just music, even the Shira Befeh, the Farshim bring. And again, as Ramar says, it's specific to Beis HaMishtois, as an accompaniment to wine drinking, or in an expression of excessive simcha, b'shach v'chol kamecha, going to sleep and waking up with it. And that was in commemoration of the Bittul Sanhedrin. We had a pasuk in Eicha, which compared the two things, connected the Skenim Mishar Shavasu to the cancelling of the Negina of the Bechurim. We learned about the tremendous bracha that was brought about by adhering to these takanas. We lost the Urim V'Tumim, Nevuah, we still have the Baskol, we lost the Shomer, and the Neifes Tzufim. Shibana Beis HaMikdash, Meher V'Emeinu. Amen.